Great. Assuming we are already live, thanks everyone for joining another episode of the Cross Project Council meeting, part of the OpenJS Foundation. Today is April 26th of 2022. I will drop the recording link into the doc. And here is the doc for folks to follow along and help take notes and all that great stuff. Add yourself as attended, and we'll get into things. How about announcements? Anybody?
Gosh, well, we have we've been going really hard on the event, and we always thank our programming committee for all the time that they put in, and especially over the last couple of weeks, because we finalized speakers. We got the in-person schedule for the breakout in the keynote rooms set. We're almost done with our virtual speaker roster, and we're also planning the community theater space. So we've got those updates coming at you very soon. We want to encourage everyone to sign up for the event. Let us know, that you're coming. We have goodies for our JavaScript Landia participants, and we hope to see everybody there. And of course, if you're interested in getting involved in the event in some way, feel free to pop into the programming committee meetings.
And just on JavaScript Landia, you get a 20% discount on the event. We also have a hotel block available. I heard this morning someone had a glitch on the Monday night, but there is space available. So if you look at the venue information, you'll find those the hotel block information. But
great. And from my experience, that was the best I could do anywhere close by. So,
okay.
Yes,
I will book something soon.
Yep, I would do it.
Great. Anything else related to the flagship events?
I guess one quick thing, I want to say thanks also to Waleed, who's been doing a lot of organizing of the Collab Summit stuff. So if your project is interested in having space, small or large, big groups, small groups, long time, short time, whatever, for Collab Summit time, definitely reach out to Waleed.
Great. I feel like a lot has been going on. So any other announcements?
Yes, one more thing I almost forgot. Sorry, I always get excited. The JavaScript Landia Awards nominations, and we're getting a lot of really great nominees, and that nomination form is open through the 29th. We have 6 different areas that we're looking to recognize people who've made a difference in the ecosystem. So, feel free to nominate one or more folks that you feel are deserving of a thank you.
Great.
I have one. Loopback graduated yesterday. Whoop. So right out of incubation. So that's pretty fun. We had a blog post yesterday about that. So that's cool.
I have a small one as well. NVM has a new logo, thanks to our resident OpenJS Foundation designer. I'm pretty stoked about it. Take a look.
Yay, super cool.
Yep, congrats. I feel like there's been more stuff since our last CPC meeting, 2 weeks. Anything else?
Yes. Because since our last meeting, we also announced that the Node.js project is the initial project for the Alpha Omega project at Open Source Security Foundation. So we're really excited, me doubly so because I get to work with both groups, to see that partnership and to help Node.js and hopefully more of the OpenJS projects with security related issues and improvement and support. So check out that blog, and congrats to the Node.js community and OpenSSF for that big announcement.
It's cool. I've been seeing, the community already get together and talk about metrics. and best practices and how those can cascade to other OpenJS and JavaScript community projects. So we'll be doing a lot of communication about that so everyone can benefit from that program.
That's great. That's really exciting. Yeah, and I was waiting for that announcement to be said out loud. Cool. Any other announcements? Go check the blog real quickly.
Did we announce that Sarah Chips has been reelected as our board director for the CPC? So that was a nice little celebration we had, I think, on Friday. So that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Sarah is also going to be our MC on the second day of OpenJS World, which is pretty fun. So along with the CDF, because we're sharing that second day at the event with the CDF on some fun keynotes. So very cool.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm excited. Thank you for the work you're doing, Sarah. It's great to have you. Great. Cool. We got to work in like a drum roll next time. I was ready. But yeah.
Aren't they right behind you, or those are
Yeah, the snare is right there.
They're imaginary snares.
No, it's a real snare. Anyway, cool. So announcements are in the bag. We can get into the agenda. Oh, I see somebody's backing me up on the notes. Great, thank you. Excuse me. Cool. So without further ado, we'll get to the agenda. The first item on the list here is Voltrek Master as a regular member. I was scrolling through this before. This looks good. I think we've exceeded the time limit too. So, oh yeah, 21 days. So we can, and I think Jordan maybe pushed for the recent updates to fix.
Yeah, I went through and rebased a bunch of PRs, and then I agenda tagged the ones that seemed like they've been sitting. So I can just merge them as we talk about them.
Great. So yeah, I think this one's good to go. I look forward to Voltrek's Master getting involved in the work. Thank you. Anything else there? If not, we will move on to the next item, which is issue 859. I think we can close this as well because Sarah is continuing, which is great. Maybe the only hesitation is to capture some of the comments here, maybe in an issue or something to further figure out terms and such. Yeah. Should we leave it open until we get that sorted?
I think we should probably just make separate issues for that because I think that's a broader discussion than the specific topic that's in this issue, which has been resolved.
Yep.
I'm happy to go ahead and make a term limit thing from this.
Great. That would be awesome. Thank you, Tierney. Cool. And then once that's done, we can merge or close that. Excellent. Moving on. The next pull request, next item is a pull request 851. This is the PR that was opened around the contributor covenant code of conduct. And we had a working session last week. Correct me if I'm wrong, Robin, but I think we're trying to get some folks in to continue the conversation and see how we're going to move forward on these things.
Yeah, we thought coming out of our working group session, we thought it might be nice to invite a subject matter expert or somebody who's pretty active in the contributor covenant to come present to the CPC. And then we need another working session to get our process and ducks in a row as well.
So that all seems fine to me, but that's a lot of ceremony over the question of whether the word project appears or not. It seems like, I mean, it seems like the concern was that if it doesn't say project, we might be forced to ban people like foundation wide, and then we would be forcing projects to do things they may not want to do. But that is not the intention, nor are we compelled to do anything just because the code of conduct empowers us to. It's just saying that, like, and the whole point of a code of conduct is that we are empowered to do a lot of things because just in case. And so it seems unnecessarily limiting to add the word project in there. And I'm not clear on what presentation would change that. Having that context is still valuable, but I'm just not like, I can't conceive of how any new information will be introduced. So I guess my like, I don't know if we like I move or whatever to like, can we just not include the word project and move forward with the very explicit Go ahead.
Here is to remove the word project, right? That's already in there. Is that correct? Or is it the opposite?
It's updating the code of conduct to the upstream version, which contains the word project, and then removing the word project from the upstreamed version.
Got it.
So it currently lacks the word project, I believe. And then if we upstream blindly, we will add the word project. And the request is to not add the word project.
One potential.
No, not quite.
Am I wrong? Okay, thank you. Please clarify.
The issue is that the 2.0 version was first released with the word project, which is what we ended up copying into our repository. Then the 2.0 version was updated to remove the word project with no communication whatsoever. And now, as we're updating to 2.1, we would be bringing that change in. The challenge here is that effectively, when we had the discussion now, I think, 2-3 years ago at the last physical OpenJS, last physical contributor summit, we had a discussion that didn't quite conclude exactly on how we all feel about this. And this is bringing to the fore the fact that we have this open discussion that is not exactly settled on where we are. And yes, the technical specific thing that we are talking about here in the PR is like minimal and is a completely aside thing, but it's more that we have not completely figured out how do we want to express ourselves in this scope.
Okay. Yeah, fair. Thank you for the clarification. If we need to do more discussion, not during this current meeting, then that's fine. It just, I haven't seen anyone speak up to say that they believe that what the code of conduct says as a possible consequence translates to a mandated consequence. I've never seen this.
I think the only reason they removed the word is to be supported by things that aren't projects. But for us, like the code of conduct is per project. So I don't think removing or adding the word actually changes the meaning. It just makes it.
It's not just
like self-referential. Yeah, and so I think we might as well remove it since it was kind of added inadvertently. But whatever y'all want, I'm not too.
I would agree with what's in the code of conduct isn't so important, but like if we want to change or extend the current expectation, and my understanding of that is like there is no agreement that we would ban across all the projects. So as long as we said like, adopting this new one doesn't change that as our understanding, I don't see that it needs to block on the wording, right? If the real discussion that we need to have is if we do want to change that, then I think we want to have that discussion. And I agree with Jordan that we could decouple those.
I have two things on that. So one, I think it is worth keeping in mind that part of the OpenJS, how our governance is set up is that projects can adopt our code of conduct. So they can, I think Node does this. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've like gone back and traced all the files, but I believe Node has its own code of conduct that is basically the exact same one. But projects can also point to the OpenJS Foundation code of conduct and have that as their code of conduct. And each project might have things under it that are not themselves projects. So for example, excuse me. For example, I don't know, some like community, like something like ComCom, right? Where it's not necessarily, obviously ComCom doesn't exist anymore, but community focused things that aren't projects, like it's not like code. That would theoretically be impacted by this wording change, right? And I think that that's probably a good change to not include project. I'm a bit lost in the thread of which one is which at this point, which one we're going down. But I think it's good to be more inclusive in that. I also think that if we are going to make changes, I would I think a good approach to making those changes is not to actually change our code of conduct, or at least not change the root file, but have a patch file that is separate, that we can keep a log of our decisions and those patches to the code of conduct, so we know how we are intentionally differentiating our code of conduct from the root code of conduct. And I'm basing that off of something that Miles said years ago at this point, which I really kind of like and stuck with me, which is this kind of templated code of conduct is something that is a good basis, and modifying it to fit our needs. And I hope I'm correctly attributing this to Miles. I hope it wasn't someone else. I'm pretty sure it was Miles. But changing it and tweaking it to our needs is something that's positive and healthy. And I think that we should do that if we do see fit for that. And I think doing that separately in a patch file or something like that is a good approach.
Agreed. Sarah?
Yeah. So I think this, I don't know if anyone's actually said this, but if they do, I agree. I think this seems like an opportunity to have this conversation of whether or not and if it's like we're thinking about just a word, yes or no. It seems like if it's just a word, then we should definitely dive into it deeper, and maybe to Tyrion's point, patch or something like that might be helpful. And the reason for this is there are like 3 really good reasons for this. So we ask all the projects to adopt a code of conduct, which is great, but that doesn't really do anything, right? It's kind of like inclusion theater, right? It's like, we really hope people feel included and we are inclusive, but it actually doesn't do anything. And one thing that we've done at the central level is try to do our best to be thoughtful about having a group where the COC complaints go that can be thoughtful and inclusive in their response. And I think that we don't ask the projects to do that. So if we're saying we will never at a central level ask projects to ban folks, and I think one thing I've observed, one thing I've observed is that when someone goes in and does horrible things in a project, they go in and do horrible things in their next project. And so maybe the ask can be to the projects to put together those committees. Maybe there can be a process, because we definitely don't want to run around with a ban hammer and be like, you can't ever work on things again if there isn't an absolute excellent reason. And we don't want to do things that aren't transparent to the projects. So maybe that's the conversation, because all those things, Jordan, to your point, a word one way or the other is not going to answer all those questions, I think.
Yeah, I think the vagueness helps in some ways and hurts in other ways. What I don't want us to get into a habit of is like maintaining a blacklist that's kind of quiet and secret, and no one that on that list could join any project. And also like not having a process of appeal, like after a few years, if the person has like demonstrated corrective behavior. But otherwise, I think just making it clear that like it may or may not be limited to the scope of the project or not is kind of the intent by removing the word. And I think that's a good thing. But also, I think we have a pretty good balance here. So as long as we document this and talk about it more, we're in good shape.
I also want to extend that and say with the appeal thing, I think that should be entirely up to every project, including the CPC. Like I'm looking at the CPC as a project itself. Like I think I voiced this in the past, but I explicitly don't want to get into the state of demanding what a project can and can't do when it comes to protecting itself. I think we have a bar that projects must meet, and then they can exceed that if they want.
Yeah, agreed.
Michael?
Yeah, I'll just add, I think we're getting back to the exact, like the things that Sarah mentioned and the things that, Tierney and Dylan just mentioned is really complex topic. It's not that, we need to have the discussion and document what we agree so that it's clear, because otherwise there's lots of opportunity for misunderstanding or arguments. Whereas if we get together and we can get agreement I don't think there's anybody saying we shouldn't do X or we shouldn't do Y. It's just that we need to have the conversation and then write down what we've agreed to get. And that started at, the references to the collaborator summit. There was a discussion there, but it was complex enough that like we didn't come to an agreement. And so, getting that discussion going, I think totally separate from this, because like it could mean we don't land this for a while. It would be good to land it that if particularly if people feel we need to do more in terms of, like Tierney said, there's a certain bar. If we want to raise that bar from what we've got today, then we should have that discussion and get the agreement and build the consensus to do that.
We have a working session next week at the same time. Should we plan to kind of further work on this then? And I feel like it would be good to sort of separate out the different issues and concerns and things that we need to move forward on. And then, for me, not having enough time to really dig into each of them has made it challenging for me to feel like I'm being helpful in this effort. But maybe if we just have this conversation in a working session, we can really try to just hone in on specific things and move them forward, or at least have developed plans for them. And then maybe Robin, you can help us see if we can get somebody in for the 2 weeks from now to have a conversation in the CPC regular meeting, and then we can really start to land things. Obviously, we want to have things in place before the event and feel really confident moving forward.
Agreed. Just a note though, our event is code of conduct. It falls under the Linux Foundation event code of conduct, which is a different process, a different team.
Okay.
I think we added that as well to our to some of our documentation as well. That was added.
Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The only thing I'd say is I think last working session was intended to do that. So we just want to make sure if that's going to be the topic that, the people who are most interested and want to push that forward can make that time, or maybe a different time makes more sense.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get at. Thank you for being clear about it, Michael. Like the folks who are engaged in this conversation right at this moment, do you have time next week at this time slot to continue this conversation? And I will dedicate some time too to come into that meeting prepared to be able to help move things forward as well. Hopefully you do. All right, so then we'll plan on that next week. We'll talk more about this and yeah, try to land some of these things, move some of these things forward, get some clarity, and have at least the path forward that we need to figure out. All right, cool. I will move on then, but I will take note here next week's working session. Continue working on COC moderation and all. Cool. Next item on the agenda is a focus on security at OpenJS. I feel like I keep saying this, but I'm going to get this started ASAP. It's really near the top of my list, but I haven't made it happen yet. So potentially this week, I will officially open up that proposal as a collaboration space. That is all I got. Next on the list is license check support and tooling. I don't know if there's any update here, if we're really expecting any update in the near future. I think last time it was mentioned that it might take a month or so to have the team make progress.
That's right. I think they're about ready to start. I know they had pinged Jordan a couple of times, but no update from our last CPC meeting, unless Jordan has seen other communication from the developer team.
No update yet.
Okay.
I'll just mention it because it's I feel like it's in a similar space, but the DCO stuff that I don't even know if we were allowed to talk about that. Was that private? I don't know. It was in an email thread that that we're working on.
I don't think it was completely public.
So I don't know. I'll skip it. Cool. Moving on. Clarify requirements around COC violation. Is this something? Hang on, I'm looking at the things. So Toby's got some next action items. But I do feel like this is something we could, as a part of the other conversation we were having before too.
Yeah, I do have an inventory of all of our projects in a spreadsheet and who uses what code of conduct policy. So that's a good starting point once we land on how we want to fine tune that through the foundation.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll keep that conversation going then too. Do we want to skip the travel fund requests for now and go to the other open items and then come back to that? So I'll jump to the tech strategy pull request number 4. Michael opened about 4 weeks ago. This has a couple of approvals, but I know, you know, Robin, you had mentioned that, you know, the team is busy until May, which is very soon, but I don't think that should necessarily hold us up, right? We can start to get things in place unless there's any objections. Cool. So we can merge this, I think, right? We've got.
Wait, which one are we talking about?
This is tech strategy pull request number 4. I will drop it into.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Inform the press. That's how I would call it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. That's a better. Cool. All right. So that's ready to merge, and you know, once the team is ready, we can start to implement that and you know, tweak it as we see fit. And then I think also, you know, Michael, we should probably socialize that in the Node.js space and let them know that that's an avenue that we can start to take advantage of as well.
Yeah, I think at this point, I'd say, okay, once we hear back from the foundation staff, they're ready to go, we can kick it off, and then I'd wait to promote a little bit until then, just so that we're aligned on that front, but otherwise sounds good.
Yep. Cool. Great. And then we've got, in terms of official agenda items, the last pull request. Oh, sorry, did somebody have something?
Did we speak about the travel fund requests?
No, I said I'd skip that just real quickly to get through these.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. So this one here is the details of yearly awards program. Let me look here. We've got a couple of reviews, approvals on this as well. So it seems like we can land this too, which makes sense since we're already, you know, in process on that.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's good. We probably need an update to reflect, you know, I think the only thing that changed maybe is the names, but if there's any other like eligibility requirements or anything like that that was different than what's in there, that would, you know, the PR that reflects that would probably be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm happy to land the current version, at least if everybody else is.
Yeah, let's do that. And, you know, maybe I'll ping Jory just to double check it to see if anything's changed. Cool. All right. So now let's talk about the travel requests. Where's my agenda now? Christian, Waleed, Dylan, Emily, who are these people? Do we really? I'm just kidding. What do we need to talk about here?
I mean, I think we just need to like agree to approve them. There's like a complicated stack of PRs at the moment because one of them creates 2022 and the others are on top of it. So my like particularness makes me want to get all of those cleaned up in the way that I deem proper. So if they can be approved, I can take care of landing them all and rebasing them and so on. But they've also been sitting there for at least one of them for over a week. So it seems like it's timely to get the approval in as fast as possible so people can book their things.
Definitely.
I agree.
So like the first one I chronologically would be number 865.
Okay.
Just Christians, which creates it. And,
Correct. Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
the
and then
key
I'll
thing
stack all
here
the other
is
stuff.
none of that stacking should affect whether we approve them or not, right? So just
Oh no,
I was-
No, of course
Well,
not.
it's blocking anyone else from requesting if they don't know what they're doing, because like they have to realize there's a PR open that they need to fork.
right.
Rather than
I'm just more
manually.
just saying we should just approve them all unless there's like an actual reason. And
Yeah,
get
I'm
them
just going to
landed.
land them in I'm just going to land
Yeah.
them in that particular order, but there's no reason to approve them in any particular order.
Yeah, and with Jordan volunteering to figure out the subtleties, that's fantastic. It's just like, so I was happy to just go through. My only thought when looking at them is we might want to leave something on our agenda every 2 weeks to just look at the totals so far, and compare against budget. Other than that, it seems just the same as what we've done in the past, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. We should maybe add something to the meeting template to review that.
And for folks watching, there also is a scholarship fund that the Linux Foundation and OpenJS Foundation set budget aside for. And so we have been going through those as well and have sent responses to those folks. So.
Yeah, thanks for calling that out. Emily?
Just wanted to on a technical note that I think Dylan's and my requests have not yet had the requisite amount of hours that they've spent in the repository to be merged in yet.
Okay. That makes sense. Unless we want to fast, we can
What was
fast
the
track
requisite
them.
number?
I think any pull request is like 72 hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine if we want them to sit that long. But Christians is the one that sat there for a long time. But either way, I think for things that the CPC has agreed on, like I'm not sure if in a meeting, I'm not sure if the 72 hours adds a lot of value at that point.
Yeah, I'm going to add the fast track request to each of the remaining ones. So feel free, folks, to just throw a thumb on those, and then Jordan can just go through them.
Yeah, I'll throw my 2 cents that the 72 hours is for the people who aren't in the meetings, right? Like, anyway, I think the fast track's the right way to go here is like say, okay, this is a special case. Normally, I do think that the waiting time adds some value by giving people a chance to notice before it just happens.
Yeah, I agree.
But unrelated, so.
Yeah, I think in this case, it's not a big deal, but I agree with you, Michael. Cool. So I put the fast track request. I guess I maybe need to add the label too. I think there's a label for all these fast track. Yep. So I'll do that while we're kind of going through this. Great. I don't know if there's anything else to talk about on this one then. And if not, then I don't know if there's anything else to talk about.
Yeah, link checker currently fails if the PR is changing. Like if it's creating a new file, the link and then linking to it, the link checker will fail, or if it's renaming a file, like and so on and so forth. But I mean, I can just merge through that for now, but like.
Yeah. We've been pushing some fixes to the link checker, I think, lately. Okay, cool. Well, that's all in place, labels and fast track requests, and I think everything's clear to kind of clean some of
But all
that
the open fund requests are approved, is that right?
as far as I know. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Cool. Well, that's kind of it for the things that we need to talk about. Is there anything else that we want to touch on or talk in a private session or anything? I've been in meetings all morning, so I don't mind.
Taking 15 minutes off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I agree, Tierney. Putting up with some of the link checker issues is something that I think is still the link checker is a good thing. So we'll work through those. Thank you for integrating that. Right on. we'll call it a wrap then, friends. There are no objections. Cool. All right. Cheers, everybody. Thanks for everything. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Bye, thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye.